Hi, welcome everyone. We're going to get started. Welcome to the For a Good Cause webinar series. Thanks for being here. This month's topic is monthly giving made easy. I'm really excited to share our guest expert with you this month. If you can see and hear me, please say hello in the chat, and I'll do the same here. Let us know where you're from, what organization, what part of the country. Let us know. Uh, there we go. We're getting some responses. Hi, guys. Just a couple little housekeeping things. We are recording this today. I will be sending out the recording probably tomorrow. I hope to get to that tomorrow. So if you have to step away for a few moments, that's perfectly fine. The chat, you're in it now. It's over there on the right. Post any questions that you have as we go through this. You'll also see over there, we will occasionally drop a poll for you. Erica's going to let me know when she needs that. We will have some handouts for you. So just be on the lookout there. I'm going to start us off just by introducing myself. I am Ronald Pruitt. I am the president and founder of For a Good Cause. I've been helping nonprofits raise money online for, as of tomorrow, 24 years. I live in Kennesaw, Georgia with my wonderful wife, my lovely mother-in-law who's across the hall, and our two teenage, very awesome kids. My company, For a Good Cause, we are a easy to use, effective, and affordable fundraising platform for small nonprofits. Nonprofits that use For a Good Cause have donation sizes double national averages and could typically pay back their investment in our platform with a single donation every month. We do host this monthly webinar series. Thanks for being here today. I hope you will join for future ones. You can find us at foragoodcause.com. And as I drop a link to that, there we go. And I hope you'll check out our blog there, our webinar series. We've got a lot of good education there for you. Now let's move on to who you're really here to hear from. I'm very excited to welcome Erica Waasdorp of A Direct Solution to speak to you today about monthly giving. Erica is the foremost, way beyond expert on monthly giving. She wrote the book on it, which I own, and I encourage you to get as well, Monthly Giving Made Easy. If there's one thing that you learned today is that you will learn that you need to go get her book. That's what you need to learn. Um,
Shameless plug,
there
shameless
you
plug,
go.
Ronald.
I use it to kind of look at, what kind of features do we need to build in our fundraising platform for nonprofits that are doing a lot of monthly giving. So you're going to learn a lot today. Erica, I'm going to hand this over to you. Thanks for being here. Take it away. Um,
Great, awesome. Thanks, Ronald, and thanks for that shameless plug. So,
no worries. And just shout at me when you need a poll, when you need a handout, anything like that. So
I will, and guys, like, thanks for saying where you're from and which organization. And I'm actually from beautiful but kind of rainy and very windy Cape Cod today. So just like but yes, you're from all over the map. And, I absolutely love monthly giving. So hence my books on that topic. So I want to share a couple of great ways that you can implement monthly giving in your organization, no matter what size you are. So again, Ronald has already introduced me. So I want to start off with this quote. It's one of my absolute favorite ones. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. And again, that's like so apropos. Everything is getting more expensive. People's budgets are starting to get crunched a little. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. So it's really important to start planting the trees and planting the seeds. And when it comes to monthly giving, it's all about planting the seeds with the donors on an ongoing basis. So what I'm going to talk about today is why monthly gifts are important, how you can ask in your organization with just a little bit of time, and then how you can keep your existing monthly donors happy and giving. So let's start with a definition because you see so many terms being used right now. So monthly donors are also known as recurring donors, sustainers, committed givers, regular givers, and maybe you have a specific name for your monthly giving program. And I want to mention, like, I like saying monthly giving because monthly donations will typically give you more money, but there are some organizations that are using quarterly and biannually and annually and sometimes even weekly. But as a whole, these are people that are making a commitment to give you money automatically from their credit card, debit card, or bank account typically. So there's that ongoing revenue coming in. So I'd love to know if you want to use the chat and Ronald, if you want to shout out what you're seeing there. But if you have a name for your monthly giving program, and if so, what is that name? And while you're doing that, I also wanted to launch a poll, Ronald, if you can launch the first poll. So
Mm-hmm.
Connie says champion for children. That's great. So the poll is like, how many sustainers do you have now? How many monthly donors do you have in your organization? Is it fewer than 10, between 10 and 50, more than 50, or you're not sure? And
Yeah,
I'll give you a couple of minutes.
we're getting some answers coming in here. And Erica, one of the best names for a program that I've come across, we work with a lot of big brothers, big sisters,
Hmm.
and they match a mentor with a child, and they call it matchmakers.
Yeah,
I
great.
love that name.
Yeah. And
Uh,
what else are you seeing?
let's
Are
see,
they, what other names are there?
Guardian Angels. That's a wonderful one here.
Hmm.
And looks like on the poll, we're seeing most everybody saying between 10 and 50. But
Great.
but a pretty even
Yeah.
split here, and
Excellent.
not many saying, nobody's saying not sure. So at least they're they're
That's
they're keeping
good.
track of it.
Yeah, that's great. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for answering that. So there's going to be a couple of other polls. So why monthly donors are so important? Because they will provide you with that reliable, unrestricted revenue, the funds that are going to come in on an ongoing basis. You can plan for the money coming in. So number one is reliable revenue. The second one is it's very donor centric. It's a great way for donors to give in a way that's comfortable for them. And I would suspect that, as we're going into everything is getting more expensive, that monthly giving is going to become even more relevant for small donors. But also younger donors like it. It's easy. They're used to subscriptions. They're used to paying automatically from their bank account or credit card. It also gives you an efficient use of your resources, right? Because it doesn't take a lot of money. It just takes a little bit of time, but it's a great way to make sure that the money keeps flowing in there. The lifetime value of monthly donors is also much higher. And somebody asked me this today, saying, well, what can I expect? How long can these monthly donors be with me? And the reality is that obviously, if you're a relatively new program, if you've just started this like a couple of years ago, or maybe even a couple of months ago or yesterday, then you're not going to see the impact of how long they've been with you. But those organizations that started like 20, 30 years ago, they're still seeing 3 to 5% of their monthly donors give monthly, even when they started 20 years ago. On average, I'm seeing that monthly donors will stay with you at least 5 to 7 years. So again, it gives you a very long and high lifetime value. You will also improve your donor retention rates. And obviously that's something that everybody's always looking for, right? You're trying to bring in new donors, and then you want to keep as many of them as you possibly can. Well, you can do that with monthly giving. But also, and I've seen this, like there's so many disasters, unfortunately, right? So you can plan on the funds to be there no matter what happens. Whether there's like a hurricane, there's a war, whether there's a pandemic, tornado, whatever it is, the money keeps coming in. You can plan on it. It's that unrestricted revenue that you can plan for, and that keeps your mission going. That keeps your lights on. Now, if we look at some of the trends, and this is obviously a mix of Canada and the United States, but 57% of donors in Canada and the United States, and Canada was ahead of America a little bit when it came to monthly giving, but 57% of donors are enrolled in some type of recurring giving program. So that's very powerful, right? And then you see how people like to pay. But 57%, what if you could get 57% of your donors to make a recurring gift? And again, it keeps on growing to higher levels. The number one reason why a donor gives monthly is because they want to help. That's number one. They always want to help. Monthly giving is just a way that's more convenient for them, that fits their budget, right? They may not be able to write the big checks. They might want to, but they can, by making a gift of 10, 20, $25 a month, they are still mid-level donors, but they don't have to write the $250 check right up front, right? Because a lot of them can't do that. They're on fixed incomes in many cases, right? So, but donors want to help. We just have to unlock those gems. We have to find them. So I mentioned earlier, like monthly giving is all about the donor. They're all over the map, right? They're younger, they're older, they have pets, they have kids, they're single, they're all over the map. So a lot of them are already in your donor base. We just have to uncover them. We just have to find them. But in monthly giving, it makes it really easy for them to give, right? There's really no time that's bad. There's no, they can give via their phone, they can give via their tablet, they can give on their desktop, they can call in the gift. There's just no hard way to make a gift. It's all right there. We just have to get people to go and make that gift. We just got to plant the seeds that this is something that they can do. So another poll there, Ronald, is like, what is the annualized value of your sustainers? Because and sometimes when I ask that question, like, organizations don't necessarily know what is the annualized value of their sustainers. Is it less than $1,000? Is it between $1,000 and $10,000? Is it more than $10,000? Or again, you're not sure. So I highly recommend that if you don't know the answer, take a look and go back and say, how many monthly donors do I have? What's the annualized value of those monthly donors? And then write it on a piece of paper, and put it on your bulletin board and said, hey, this is my benchmark for today. This is where I'm at right now. And then let's see how we can grow that to the next level.
Yeah, we've got that.
So
We've got that
go
poll
ahead.
launched on the right there. If
Mhm.
everybody looks over there and wants to provide their answer, that'd be great. Oh, here we go. We're getting some answers. Most people are saying between 1,000 and 10,000.
Mhm.
Which does that gel right with? Is that typical?
That's like
Yeah.
pretty typical, especially if they have like 10 to 50
Right.
monthly donors. Yeah.
Right.
So, but again, it's a great starting point, right? So now how can you now grow that to the next level? But again, just think about it. If you have 10 monthly donors now and say the average gift is $25, that means it's $3,000 a year. If you multiply that times 5, like if we say, well, they're going to stay with us for 5 years, that's $15,000. That's just 10 monthly donors. If you can now get to 50, that's $75,000 over a 5-year period, $15,000 in the first year alone. If you can double that number, you can go from 50 to 100, you're looking at like 30,000 guaranteed money that comes in, and it's $150,000 over 5 years. So it grows tremendously, right? By just going from 10 to 20 to 50 to 100, right? So if somebody says, well, these monthly donors don't give a lot of money, well, you can show them this chart. And again, like Ronald said, this will be recorded. You'll get slides, and you'll even get some additional handouts as well. So monthly giving is very, very powerful. That's why I love it so much, right? So it's because it just helps keeps the money coming into your organization. And if somebody says, well, yeah, you know what? Let's focus on a mid-level donor program. Well, the reality is that your monthly donors are your mid-level donors. They're worth $300 a year. They're also going to be 6 times more likely to leave you in their will. So they're your future legacy givers. And just because they're a monthly donor doesn't mean that they're not going to support other things. They will absolutely be willing and able and interested to help you with special projects, additional gifts, matches, all of those great things. So when I started in monthly giving like 30 years ago, that was like, whoa, you can't touch these monthly donors. But now you want to engage them, you want to communicate with them, and you want to give them the opportunity to make additional gifts as long as you do it right. So a couple of key elements for growth. And the reality is you don't have to start thinking very differently when it comes to monthly giving. Everything you do in fundraising applies to one-time gifts. It also applies to monthly gifts. But a couple of additional things, you got to be committed to it, right? Because you're asking your donors to commit to you. You ideally want to work with like trying to find tangible amounts. Again, that works in fundraising generally. It works for monthly giving as well. You got to use storytelling, works for fundraising. And then you do have to have the systems to like the For a Good Cause system or any of the other systems that you're using to make it easy for the donor to make their gift. But you need those systems for other purposes as well, for your thank you letters, to keep track of your donors, right? So in most cases, you already have those systems in place. You don't have to go to something else necessarily unless what you have is not good. Again, you have your tools, you got your donor base, you got your website, you got your payment processors, you got your thank you processes. All of that you already have in place. You just have to tweak it a little bit. So I'd love to know in the chat what system you are using now to process online gifts. So just use the chat to answer that question. And while you're doing that, here are a couple of easy ways that you can get started and grow your monthly donor program to the next level. So if it is possible, and most systems will allow you to do this, not all, but most of them will, create a special, what I call like a monthly donor only page. So the only thing there is you're asking for a monthly gift. You're not mixing it in with a one-time gift opportunity here. And the reason why I want you to create one is because then you can start directing people to this specific page where the donor says you're asking them to make a monthly gift, and yes, make a monthly gift. So everything is right then and there together. So it really flows very, very nicely. You're not confusing people like, oh, do you want me to make a one-time gift now? I thought you wanted me to make a monthly gift, right? So you really want to make it very, very clear. Now, again, if you can't do that necessarily, make sure that monthly giving stands out. Like in this example, a monthly donation is the most effective way to help families year round. and you see that this is highlighted. If you have these, what we call like a toggle option, and again, I see a lot of those now, make sure that the monthly amount is lower than the one-time amount. Monthly donors are going to give you more money, but you can't be too greedy up front. You want to give the donor the feeling that they can make a difference with an amount that is most comfortable for them. So don't shy away from small gifts. Donors will self-identify. They will choose what the amount is that fits with them. And then use your homepage. Again, like, and this is an example where it says donate today. Well, maybe a couple of months a year, you say give monthly today. And that's it. And then link to the monthly only page. So it's really, really clear. Add an extra button in your emails. Make a gift, give monthly. And again, that give monthly goes right to your monthly only page, right? Having those example amounts do help, obviously. Like, again, when we're fundraisers, we all, it's all about how can we help the donor understand how they can make a difference? What does it take? $25 a month can provide 12 hot, nutritious meals. So take a look at what you're using in your other fundraising and then translate it to lower amounts for monthly gifts. And again, test some different amounts. Every organization is different. Every average gift is different. So see what are some of the options the donor can choose from, right? And again, don't be too afraid by asking some smaller amounts. And you can do a lot of testing with these donation forms now. And if you can do what we call like a monthly giving pop-up, that's also a big trend I'm seeing right now, where the donor makes a one-time gift and then they click donate now, and then this little light box, this modal comes up and says, make a monthly gift instead. Would you consider this? You can make your support last with a recurring monthly gift of $25, or you can go and make a one-time gift instead. And I've seen that this does not suppress the one-time gifts, but it does increase the number of monthly donors that say, you know what? Yeah, I can do $25 a month. If that makes even a bigger difference, great. So, so again, and the only time that I would definitely caution you to be very careful with this is like at year end, because donors are so quick with making gifts and they want to help you, and they're on Giving Tuesday, they want to make a one-time gift real quick. So so you don't want to confuse them too much at that point. But the rest of the year, this light box, this pop-up is really, really powerful. But you gave me the example of Big Brothers Big Sisters, right, Ronald? Like, here is an example. They call them rock stars. Be a rock star. Use your email signature. Put it in everything that you send to your donors and your volunteers. And they're like, oh, what does this mean? What's this rock star? So put it in your email signature. Again, it's all about planting the seeds, right? So Ronald, do you have any? What are we seeing from the systems that people are using?
Yeah, I think most people that have mentioned are actually mentioned kind of the back end payment processors, which are, Square, PayPal, Stripe. That's really where
Mhm.
that card is being processed. But
Yeah.
as you're going over, you really need something in front of that, a donation platform that can help you build that web page, that donation form, that interface to the donor that makes it easy and encourages them to complete that gift.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great. Thank you. So and so I'm going to ask you another. I love these chats, right? So what is your biggest challenge when it comes to growing your sustainer, your monthly giving program? What's your biggest challenge in your organization? And again, use the chat to answer that question. And while you're doing that, I'll just keep going because I know we have limited time and we want to have lots of questions. So here's the reality. I mentioned the word commitment earlier on. The other piece that is really, really important when it comes to monthly giving
is that you need to have a driver. You need to have somebody who's accountable for the program, who's committed to growing the program to the next level, who's going to push it forward, right? And that will help you not only with your growth, but also keeping your monthly donors as well. Now, again, this doesn't mean that you have to do everything yourself. You can outsource things, you can delegate things to other people, but somebody has to track on it and check on it like every month. How's my program doing? Hey, I went from 10 to 15. I went from 15 to 20, and then share those little wins with other people as well. So if you're like saying, hey, we just did this email and we get 10 new monthly donors, great. Share the message in your organization and say, these 10 monthly donors, they're worth X, right? Because people have no idea. So again, part of like monthly giving too is that we have to educate other people in our organization, especially sometimes bosses and boards and colleagues. But when it comes to growing and retaining your monthly donors, we need to have somebody who's going to be accountable for doing that. So it all starts with stewardship. So retaining your monthly donors, that's where it starts. You want to make them feel extra special. So take a look in your organization and what can you do? Maybe it's something that you're already doing. You've just never passed it along to your monthly donors, right? So take a look at what you're already doing. And then also keep it simple and doable. So no matter how a new monthly donor came in, whether they came in online or offline in the mail or the phone, and again, we're obviously seeing a lot of like monthly donors coming online. I highly recommend that in addition to that thank you email that they get, send something in the mail. And if you can make it personal, like this example, wow, hey, I'm going to hold on to this. You started me off right. You made it very special. Welcome. Thank you for your generous monthly gift. This takes a couple of seconds and it's going to be so powerful. Like, wow, I'm going to remember Karen, right? So keep it simple and doable, but try to make it as personal as possible. Then also engage them in some ways that make them feel part of the organization. Again, donors want to help. They're not able to make it with really, really big gifts, but still want to hear from you. They want to feel part of it. They want to feel part, in some cases, they want to feel part of a community, right? So make them feel exactly that. So maybe you have a quarterly Zoom call or a half yearly Zoom call, or you have, a special update that somebody in your organization gives, or maybe you have like a little educational something in your organization. So take a look at some of those things that you're doing and say, wow, I just have to make sure that my monthly donors are part of this. And invite them. Again, this is a small organization, and every quarter they send they invite me to be part of a special quarterly gathering, right? And again, they even send a follow up, so I get a copy of the recording as well. Um, if you can do a little video, very powerful. Again, just an email with a video can make donors feel special. And again, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be like costing a lot of money. It can literally be you standing in, say if you're a soup kitchen, you could be in the soup kitchen and you say, hey, I'm standing here with the cook, and I just want to say thank you for your monthly gifts because you make it possible that we can deliver these meals to seniors in need, for example. So just think about some things that you can say, wow, if I were a donor, I would love to get that, and I would be really, really committed to sticking with this organization. That's really what it's all about. So Ronald, what are some of the challenges that people mentioned?
Yeah, so Jeslyn says promotion, getting the word out. Kelly is identifying those that would consider a consistent donation. I think that's important. Emily is reaching out to that younger audience, and then Sandy is just she's wearing too many hats, and the
Yeah.
time that probably the time to start one and probably promote as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That is, so all those are all like, very valid challenges, especially the wearing multiple hats. That's why one of the things I always try to say is keep it simple, keep it doable. Um, Take a look at something that you're already doing, repurpose things. It's totally fine. And again, if you sent a video like 2 weeks ago, it's okay to resend that, right? If you did something like 2 months ago, and again, sometimes people are like, well, I posted that on social media. Well, maybe you can pop it in an email real quick, or maybe somebody wrote you a really nice note to thank you for delivering the meals. You can pop that in an email, right? So there's a lot of like easy ways that you can, send out a quick email or a note, or put something in again on social media as well. Like we're so grateful for monthly donors, and again, that's another opportunity for promotion as well, right? So there's lots and lots of different ways, but keep it simple and doable. Uh, Also, people say, well, should I have this extensive benefit package? And you don't need an extensive benefit package. Again, donors want to help. Monthly giving is a way that they can help, um, in a convenient way for them. And we just need to keep them up to date on how their gifts are making a difference. They don't need tchotchkes, giveaways. They don't need fancy schmancy, very complicated membership programs. So I always say, like, just tell them that when they become a monthly donor, you're going to send them a tax letter every January with an overview of all their gifts, and you're going to keep them up to date on how their gifts are making a difference. So that means you don't have to tell them that they're going to get quarterly emails or a monthly or whatever, or like print newsletter, whatever. You don't have to specify that at all. Just like keep it easy. You're going to get updates on how your gifts are making a difference. And that's it. So those are the two key things that I recommend that you do have in place. And again, take a look at your existing monthly donors. If they're happy, they will give you even more money. They will keep giving, but also they will help you with the promotion to reach out to other monthly donors. You can talk to your monthly donors and ask them, like, why are you giving monthly? And you'll be blown away sometimes with what they say. And then you can say, well, geez, Mrs. Jones, can I use that to reach out to other monthly donors? And then you say, oh, yes, I would be honored, right? Sometimes they might not want to share their name, but again, that's totally fine. If you can get them to say that on video, even more powerful, right? So there's lots and lots of things that you can do with not a lot of time that will keep your monthly donors happy, but also will share them, share and get you more additional new monthly donors as well. Now, unfortunately, if monthly donors give by credit card or debit card, there comes a time that they get a new card and they will not necessarily remember that they're giving monthly to you. So they will stop giving. So their payment method stops, right? Their payment stops. So that's the number one reason why sustainers typically stop. Sometimes they have a change in life circumstance. We saw that earlier on in COVID, where that month in March, they had an increase in the number of people that called up organizations, said, hey, I have a monthly gift with you, but I'm really worried about what's going on. Can I cancel that? And those organizations that says, of course you can cancel it, but would it be more comfortable for you to have a lower amount, or would you like to put a pause on your monthly gift? And when the organization offered that, 30% of monthly donors that were about to cancel said, oh yes, I can do that. So help you. So again, donors, if they call, they care, they want to continue, you have to just help them set give them some opportunities that they can indeed continue that. But again, it may not be the $25 a month, it may be $5 a month, right? And then the third reason why monthly donors stop is because they become disengaged with your mission. And a lot of times that is because they don't feel part of your organization. You're not keeping them up to date on what's going on. So if you do your stewardship right, this is a non-issue, right? So the number one reason why most monthly donors stop is because their payment doesn't come in, because it's just a credit card, debit card issue. And again, one thing to remember, and I call these like people whose payments stop, is a soft cancel. So they actually want to continue. They just forgot. And it happens. Donors are busy, right? We're busy. So they forget that their payment, that they got a new card and they forgot to tell you, right? So we have to help them with little nudges to say, hey, it looks like your card, your payment didn't come in. Maybe you got a new card. Can you please give us your updated information? And a lot of times they're like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Of course, here's my updated information, right? So that's like the best approach to say, hey, I'm nudging these monthly donors. They did not call to cancel, right? Their payment just didn't come in. So they want to continue. But you as a fundraiser have to say, hey, I want to keep them. I just have to reach out to them and ask them for their updated information. So one of the things I recommend, and I think this is in the handouts as well that you're going to get, is like just start with mapping out what happens. And again, this sounds silly, but I've done this with small organizations, mid-sized organizations, large organizations, to say, start with writing down what's the process. The payment didn't come in. Who knows that? What happens? Who sends you the information? Is it in the database? And then what are you going to do next? Are you going to send an email? Are you going to make a phone call? Are you going to send a letter? So map out what is the current process. And then you can say, I see that. I make a call. I try to make a call, but by the time I get around to it, it's going to be like a month later. So just like map out the process, write it down, and see what happened, to see where you can make improvements. Because that's a lot of times, it's little things that can make a difference. And it's little things that can keep those monthly donors going. And one of those, I wouldn't say it's quite a little thing, but it's a little trick that I have found that works really, really well. So if, say, you have 100 monthly donors in your, special group of champions, and 10 of them, their payment didn't come in this month. Well, say your average gift is $25 a month, that's $300 a year. So those 10 monthly donors are worth $3,000. Well, if you can get these $3,000 back by making a phone call, by sending an email, by sending a letter, wouldn't that be worth a little bit of your time, right? And again, maybe you can delegate it to somebody who's going to say, hey, I talked to these 10 people and I got 8 of them back, right? So this is just a little trick to say, wow, hey, it's worth a little bit of time and effort to keep that $3,000 going. So it's all about, really doing everything in your power to keep them. And as part of the handouts, you're going to get this monthly donor retention playbook that you can customize to your organization. It has scripts in it. It has email examples. It has like a letter example. So you can customize it to send out to those monthly donors who are at risk of lapsing, of dropping out. But when it comes to growing, it's all about setting goals. So I would love it. This is the final poll for today. If you say, what is the sustainer growth goal by fiscal year end? Do you want to get to 50 sustainer, 50 monthly donors? Do you want to get to 100 monthly donors? Do you want to get to 100, 500 monthly donors? What is your goal by fiscal year end or by calendar year end? What kind of goal would you like to set for your program? And Ronald has launched a poll here.
Yep, we've got 40% answered so far. Look over to the right. Let us know. Looks like we're getting so far mostly get up to 50, and then other. So
Yeah,
I think maybe it's good that they've got very specific goals for their
right.
organization.
And that's like, I said earlier on, like, write down where you are now. So, and then write down the goals. Again, it sounds silly, but there's something magical about writing down goals, and you will reach it. To give you an example, I started working with an organization last year, and they had 15 monthly donors. And we said, all right, well, what would you like to set for a goal? And she says, well, let's triple it. So the goal was 45. And we did a couple of those things that I showed you earlier. We added a button, we took over the homepage, we sent a couple of emails, and pretty quickly they got through. They were at more than 45 monthly donors. Now today they're at 82. So just a couple of things. Again, it's not a huge organization. It's a small shop. She's wearing a lot of different hats, by chipping away at some of these things that I showed you today. They are, growing. And this year's goal is to get to 150 monthly donors. And they're going to get there just because they keep chipping away at it. And she wrote it down, right? So write down your goals. And it's just like, you'll be amazed at where you're going to get to, right? Because the reality is, great things are done by a series of small things brought together by Vincent van Gogh. So again, great things are done by a series of small things brought together. That's what it is. I mean, you're trying to bring in new money, you're trying to bring in monthly donors, you're trying to optimize the giving of those donors that you have, and that's what it's all about. So that's it for me. I'd love to open it up for questions.
Absolutely. And Erica, what I thought we might do also at this point is I'm going to go ahead and drop these handouts just to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that everybody
Yep.
has them. So I'll be doing that. If you just look over to the right, you'll see some things coming in: the monthly donor annualizer, the monthly donor retention playbook, and the process to keep more sustainers. So on the right, you can just click download, and that you're going to have that available. If anybody's watching this later, on demand after we post it, you can always reach out to me or Erica, and we'll get that to you. All right, let's look at some questions here. Let's start. I'm going to kind of go back to some of the things that were put in through the registration. I appreciate you guys putting those questions in as part of your registration. So we've got a question here from, let's see, let's start with,
I see Jesslyn.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's start with, let's actually start with Lee. She's talking about the current financial climate. And you spoke about this, how not to exhaust a donor. Maybe would this be a time not to, are you still asking for those additional gifts from the monthly donor? Are you trying to turn one-time people into monthly because of the financial climate? How does the current climate kind
Yeah.
of fit in?
Yeah. So that's a great question, and it's definitely a concern. So and again, here's why you can say, well, we still need to feed so many. I don't know what type of organization you are, but we still need to feed so many people, or we still need to do this, right? And everything has become more expensive as well, right? So and so you're trying to, the best thing when it comes to monthly giving is, like, take those donors, those small donors. Those are the ones that are not your big check writers. Those are typically donors that give you less than $250, and try to convert them, those one-time donors, to monthly donors. So if somebody says, hey, I wish I could do more right now, but I can't, well, then say, well, here's a great way that you can still support us that may fit your budget, or that might be a little bit more convenient for you, right? So so again, you're kind of like presenting it as a more convenient way for them to give. And again, but look at those small donors and try to convert them to give monthly. Especially donors that have been giving to you for a while, or donors that typically make multiple gifts a year, depending upon how often you reach out to them. But it's just like saying, well, even a small amount, $5 a month, right? So that can make a huge difference. So say somebody's a $35, you send them an appeal and they give you $35. Well, if you can get them to give $5 a month, you've just upgraded them to a $60 a year gift, right? So give them that option to make a difference in an amount that's more comfortable for them, and that they can spread out over the year. And then you say, wow, yeah, that's a great way for me to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And over time, you're going to be able to upgrade that donor. I mean, I posted in the chat the average monthly giving size donation on For Good Cause is actually $73 a
Yeah,
month. So it can
that's
grow.
great.
You can start them small, but you absolutely can grow. We've got a question here. Let me get the name from Emily. Suggestions for engaging younger donors in monthly giving. Certainly, she says, with subscription culture being so popular, how can we use this to our advantage? Now, I know that you've written how monthly giving is not exactly subscriptions.
Right. It's not
Um,
totally the same,
not
but
totally the same, but
yeah,
we could probably take
yeah,
advantage of it with the younger folk here.
yeah. So yes, absolutely. So yeah, so it really comes down to asking. So, I mean, and again, have that button in there, add that in your email, take over the homepage, send a couple of emails where you can say just even $5 a month will make you'll become part of this very special community that helps support our organization. And a lot of times it's just like you you haven't asked them to consider it. So I would just start by sending out some email messages and see what happens. But again, always have that, like, hey, just like 25 cents a day, $5 a month, $10 a month will make a difference depending upon what your system requires. Because I know sometimes $10 a month is a minimum for some systems, um, some payment platforms. But yeah, so and again, if you're at an event, whether it's virtual or in person, right? Because we're going back to some of that, or hybrid, then give them the option to consider a monthly gift and see who reaches out. And then if you have some younger donors, ask them to share it on social media. Hey, I just became a champion. I just became a, what did you say, matchmaker,
Hmm.
for Big Brothers Big, so just like, and then have them share it and spread the word. If you have an event, give somebody a special star on their name tag, or a special little dot or something like that. Just like, oh, what's that dot all about? Well, I'm a part of the matchmaker group. So because again, people want to be part of that community, and $5 a month, $10 a month may be a way that they can, that is more convenient to them. So but the number one reason why people don't get monthly donors is because they don't ask. Just like anything with fundraising, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and one other thing I saw, I think a couple of days ago, if you want to really tie it to subscription culture, I saw a campaign where you're basically, can you give up a cup of coffee?
yeah.
Can you give up, or
Mhm.
can you match your Netflix subscription with a
Yep.
subscription to us and that kind of
Yep.
stuff?
Yep.
Got a question here on the chat from Jesselyn. Does it make more sense to set goals by the number of givers or by dollar amounts?
A great question. I think it's easier to set it by number of givers, but that's really up to you, whatever you want your goal to be. So if you say we bring in $5,000 now and we'd like to get to 10,000, great. But just set a goal and then you'll be able to work towards that. I can guarantee it. So, so this, again, there's something powerful like, oh, I got to get to this goal, right? We're going to get there, right? You're going to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, whatever works for you. In my
Whatever works for you.
in my line of work, I look at MMR, monthly recurring revenue. It's just a stat that I track for us here. Emily has a question. Any advice for upgrading a monthly donor's gift amount?
Yeah, so don't do it too soon. So you want to make sure when you're talking about upgrading, and again, you can, if you've been running a program for a couple of years, or at least more than a year, then now is a really good time to ask for an upgrade because everything is getting more expensive, right? So 7% increase, gas is getting expensive, everything, food's getting expensive. So, but don't be too greedy and don't ask too soon. So if somebody started giving in the last 6 months, if they started giving monthly in the last 6 months, I would leave them alone from a upgrade ask. I would ask them for an extra gift if that is fitting, but I wouldn't ask them for an upgrade yet because that just feels like, what? I just started giving monthly. It's like, so and then also ask for, give them a couple of options on the form where you send them to. So you probably want to send them to an online form where you have the new amounts in it. So so you have like higher amounts on the online form, but do ask for like just $2 or $3 more a month will really make a difference, and then send them to a form where they have multiple options. So again, some donors might say, oh yeah, I can double my monthly gift, and other donors might say, oh no, I'm just going to go for $5 a month more. So so give them some options on your forms as well. And if you got, and if you're doing mailings, make sure that in the mailings, because mailings still work, right? And phone calls still work as well. And that combination of mail, phone, and email works even better. So, make sure that the donor writes down the new amount. So that way, that they're committed to that new upgraded amount. So, but give them a couple of options.
Yeah, that kind of brings into the next question from Connie. How do I make a mail reply device that is less busy looking? I think probably what she wants to know is how can I make monthly giving, boy, make that choice stand out and get those types of donations, I bet.
Yeah, that's wow. Yeah, I know. Like, there's I wrote a blog on that, I think, not too long ago too. So, you can do a lot right now with QR codes. So you could have a QR code that goes to the monthly page, and you could put that, or you can give two options. But yeah, I mean, it's on appeal reply forms. It's typically just a one-liner like, yes, I'll make a monthly gift of, and then, specific amounts that are lower than the one-time amounts that you're asking for, and say, well, yes, I'd like to make a monthly gift of, and then, from my credit card, or see payment preference on the reverse. So you can use front and back of reply forms as well, because I still see a lot of people that try to put everything on the front, and yes, there's a lot going on there, but give them both options on the reply forms by just a one-liner. But don't do that for your higher end donors. Just do it to your under 250 donors.
Right.
But again, happy to, you have my email there, address there, because I am a big scanner, so I scan a lot of examples. So I'm happy to send you some examples of things that I really like how they did it.
We have a question from Jocelyn. What's the best incentive to set your organization apart from other monthly giving programs? You kind of said you don't really need big giveaways or anything, and would you say that a nonprofit is really competing against other nonprofits in this world, or is it really about what your mission and how they're going to support that impact?
Yeah, again, it's well, I mean, nonprofits are always competing against each other in some ways, right? But the reality is that that monthly donors, just like other donors, they typically give to multiple organizations. And a lot of times it's almost like if they're giving monthly to one organization and you happen to know that, it's almost easier to then also ask them to give monthly to your organization because they're already used to the principle of it. So I think all of the work that we as nonprofits do together will help with that. But it's just a matter of again, just giving the donor the opportunity to consider that monthly gift. So and I think the benefits, uh whatever fits your mission, whatever makes the donor feel most part of your mission works really, really well as an incentive. And again, like you're better off, like it's almost like you have to go back to basics, right? And you want to make sure that the donor gets thanked right away, that you try to make it as personal as possible, and then that you try to engage them and say, hey, like, say if you're a housing organization, well, I would like to invite you to a virtual tour of the new house you're helping build or something, so there's lots and lots of things that you can do that are not don't cost a lot of money. They're not tote bags or whatever, like, so, but they make the donor feel part of your organization, part of the community that makes a difference. I was talking to an organization the other day, and I actually interviewed her for a blog, and she says, well, these monthly donors are our cheerleaders. So, so again, so just like, treat them as they're your cheerleaders for your organization, and what would it take to make them even bigger cheerleaders for your organization, right? And it's not necessarily a new pom-pom, but it's, something that makes them feel like, wow, yes, I make that happen, so a lot of it is, it's not a hard Chotsky per se. Now, again, if you're a big organization and you're using these freemiums and giveaways to generate donations, you've probably conditioned them a little bit to expect something in return. But if you're not, if you're a very mission focused organization and you don't send anything out in the mail per se, then don't worry too much about like stuff, but see how you can get them involved. And one of the things too is like, think about asking your volunteers to give monthly, because that's a huge low-hanging fruit that a lot of people don't think about. Volunteers want to help too, and they may not be able to write big checks per se either, but they want to help.
Eric, I think we've got time maybe for one more question here. I want
Mhm.
to do this one from Agnes. She's really asking about, how can monthly giving help a startup nonprofit, a brand new nonprofit? It's certainly something that I recommend to a small nonprofit is, ask your board and then start a monthly giving program.
Yeah, I mean that's a great, exactly right. So like, ask your board. And because again, the reality is $85 a month is $1,000 a year, right? So if you want your board to start giving in, substantial ways, that's a great opportunity for them. Now, again, you can have some board members who will write $1,000 check right away, but others are not able to do that. So start with your board, start with your volunteers, and then, again, if you're a startup, you're going to have a giving page. So do a couple of the things I mentioned, add some buttons and chip away at it. You're not going to get oodles and oodles and oodles of new monthly donors right away, but it's an ongoing thing. This is not something you say, okay, the first week in January, I'm going to ask for monthly gifts and that's it. No, it's like, where can I fit it in? Where can I add it in? Where can I keep planting the seeds? And eventually people are going to say, oh yeah, I saw about that. Yeah, yeah, I've been thinking about it. And one of the final things that I didn't show that example, but matches. Oh my God, they are so powerful, right? So if you can get your board to come up with a small match, to reach out to other to donors to say, hey, if we get 10 new monthly donors, a group of generous donors will give us $2,500. And again, you're going to be like, whoa, yeah, I want to be part of that because I want you to be successful. I want you to be able to do more of what you're doing.
It's wonderful. Erica, this has been absolutely wonderful. I'm going to share your website with everybody.
Great.
I
Thank you.
encourage everybody to click on that, bookmark that site, follow Erica's blog, buy her book. You won't go wrong because everything she's talking about here, the book goes into a ton of detail. Erica, this has been great. I'm hoping to have you back with us to kind of go into some more detail on some things. I will be sending out recording probably tomorrow. So if you missed anything, just look for that. I'll make sure that to resend all the handouts and any of that type of stuff. If you have any questions for me for a good cause, here's all my information as well. Once I close out the webinar, you will be redirected to a survey. Let us know how we did today. And I hope that you will join us here at For Good Cause for future webinars. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks, Erica. Thanks,
Great.
everybody.
Well, thank you. And you posted a lot of great stuff in the chat too. I was looking at it's like, yes, yeah, account updater. Awesome. Great. I didn't mention that, but thank you.
We'll have
Thank
to do
you
a whole
all, and
thing
good
just
luck.
on keeping
Yeah.
those cards up to date. So
Yes. Great. Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. We'll see you
Bye.
soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.